Welcome to the Good Girls podcast. Today we are delving into our early history as good girls and thinking about this question on the internet of what was your gateway smut that formed you into the avid smut reader that you are today. And this is mostly a question for Kay because she's the avid smut reader, but I'm along for the ride and definitely did have my childhood shadow daddies that can't wait to talk about with you, Kay.
Starting early is the best.
So, gonna kick this off with Marry, Fuck, Kill. You've got 1, Draco Malfoy, Harry Potter. 2, from Harry Potter. Harry Potter's not
Recent
on here. We don't care
surge
about
of
him.
Popularity.
Yeah, especially
we
in
don't care about
Kay's
Harry.
fanfic book. Yeah, we give zero fucks about Harry Potter. We do not want to marry, fuck, or kill him.
Definitely do not care about Ron.
He's just beige. Yeah. Ron can leave. Edward Cullen from Twilight series and the Beast from Beauty and the Beast. You pick human or beast form or changes back and forth. If you want to be nasty with it.
This is hard because you have to block out what you know about Draco. I'm going only with 7 books. Draco.
Oh, that's totally a choice that you can make, Kay. If you want to include fanfic into your Harry Potter canon, I'll allow it because I think that our listeners do need to know a little bit about the wide universe of Draco Malfoy fanfic.
Okay, then sorry, everybody. I think I'm going to marry Draco because he's smart, athletic, cunning. I always thought that I would do well with a Slytherin. They're always thinking.
Would you say that you're married to a Slytherin right now?
Oh. Huh. It's not outside the realm of possibility that he's some crossover between a Slytherin and a Ravenclaw.
Oh my gosh, I would say the same
Small
about Mr.
touch
SJ.
of Hufflepuff. Yeah.
No, Mr. SJ's 50-50 Slytherin and Ravenclaw. He doesn't understand that reference because I just got him to watch one Harry Potter movie 2 weeks ago, but someday he will, and he will agree.
He does just a little dab of the Hufflepuff, though. And I would probably have sex with a bee.
Yeah, you would.
Sorry, everybody. Just my long-term plague acting up there. And I would kill Edward because I need to go off of like the full Edward of both book and movie combined. And when you see how Robert Pattinson, who I would say is an intelligent person, chose to portray Edward, you really see that he must die. So going into that, gateway books and movies that got us slowly over into the land of smut and all things good girls. And we are starting early here.
Yeah. Whatever age it was for you that you began to feel those stirrings of the call of the shadow daddy.
So I think that for many of us, Twilight, when we read it during our teens, was the first time that, like, through books and through a book that you were totally okay to read as a teenager, that we felt some lust towards a character. And I think that when I actually read Edward in Twilight, you know, he's described as being very sexy in his appearance. He's described as being extremely in love with Bella, and don't we all want that? And then it's once you see it on screen that you're like, huh.
This is the great conundrum with adapting beloved books into movies is that if you have a vivid imagination, you are picturing it really well in your head and the things look whatever way does it for you. And I just feel like the specific directorial and casting decisions that they made did not do it for a lot of people.
I think that Robert Pattinson decided that Edward was very, very depressed and hated himself based off of all the dialogue that we see about Edward. And it was a fair decision on Robert Pattinson's part to decide this person is that. But all of the women knew, no. He's supposed to be sexy, brooding. He is not supposed to be
whiny, emo teen.
Yeah, we don't want you emo. We want you to be sexy, brooding. And he decided, nah, that's not it, guys. This is literally what they're telling me to do. And, you know, I admire his accurate interpretation, but we wanted what the woman wanted. Yeah. And that's the shadow daddy.
These books catch me at the end of my emo phase. They also catch me coming out of my teen years, being a few years older than you, Kay. So I also feel like they came at the wrong time. I am a newcomer to it. So we had a very fun night the other night with another friend of ours who was a Twilight.
Twihard.
A
That's
Twihard.
what they call us.
Oh, yeah. I think she was since the early days. She was sharing a story of lived in Seattle at the time that the movie came out and did a little road trip. I mean, it's not that crazy to road trip to the town Forks. Is that what it's called?
It's a pretty unremarkable town, and the movie is so bad that actually imagining anybody going out of their way to see this unremarkable town in this horrible movie is wonderful to imagine. But
I love this, but I'm just saying she was living in Seattle at the time, not like New York, so it wasn't quite the pilgrimage that it might have been. But I'm coming to it fairly new, so we were watching it together with wine, with snacks provided by Mr. SJ, who was Snack Daddy that night. And so it was very fun to watch the movies with like very little pre-knowledge other than cultural general things that we all know, that something weird about vampires, and the vampires sparkle in the sun for some unknown reason.
They're so beautiful when they sparkle.
Even
we all want a
reason
glittery
is
man.
that they faithfully reproduced this exactly in the films, and that's kind of a lot of my things. Is some of the stuff on screen that was just making me giggle. I thought, I guess you could see that in a book where they just sort of describe it and you can picture it in your head, whatever way works for you. But
you didn't see that and want a man who is glittery and sparkly for you?
Yeah, I guess that was the thing that I knew in advance, and I was wondering, but
it's also like not a typical like vampire lore. Like they did not have to be sparkly.
To do that. So I feel like you could have just gone into
blood's the only required element of a vampire.
Yeah, well, I think that they do have to have some aversion to sunlight, but I feel like you could have had a typical aversion to sunlight. The sparkling thing was a weird choice by Stephanie Meyer and by the director to so faithfully reproduce that.
Him giving piggyback rides, also something that they could have figured out a sexier way.
Flies up the tree, and I guess somebody said that that's not really in the book. One of you said that that's not really in the book anyway. But the way that he like flies from place to place, even if that was in the book, you don't have to picture that in such detail.
Yeah, they could have just not.
Versus on the screen, it does look like very silly. Like they just sort of did like a drag. Somebody like clicked and dragged him across the screen. And it's just funny. I will give a disclaimer that I do feel like it's just a thing to for society to shit on content that is made for women and girls and just be like, oh, it's so frivolous, it's so silly. So
content should have been shat on.
So I wanted to check myself and make sure that, especially things that are made for teen girls, but I also feel like sometimes people think that teen girls like things that are silly, and so then this movie did just make such silly. I won't say anything about the book because I didn't read it, but the movie made silly decisions about things that I'm like, I can't even imagine as a teenager that I would have been watching this and thought like, wow, this is great. Which you said at the time, even though you liked the books, that the movie, you were laughing out loud in the theater.
Yeah. A particularly wonderful scene that was hot in the books, which was when Edward comes and rescues Bella in his Volvo. And in that, it felt like, reading this as a teenage girl, it was like, this is a man. He has a nice, safe car. He's coming to...
I also think as a teen, I don't know what a Volvo looked like exactly. Like, I didn't have the perception that I do now of a Volvo being a thoroughly unsexy car.
I do remember that, for me, they felt like a higher-end car, and that was about it. It took me until, like, my 30s to know, like, okay, this is what a sexy car looks like versus just a safe and...
Yeah.
So when you actually see in the movies that he shows up in a Volvo coupe, and he just unnecessarily like speeds away as if this is the most badass car. He is driving that Volvo as if it is a Jaguar. It's distinctly unsexy, I would say. I would say that if anybody showed up to pick you up in a Volvo coupe as if they were like your getaway car, do you want to go and rent a different car for this particular scene?
I mean, you have unlimited resources at your fingertips, Edward. And I mean, I guess that it's like this desire to keep her safe, right? But that's not doing it for me. That's like... Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He also cared about the environment. She was like, well, I can drive myself. And he's like, you have a pickup truck. My Volvo is highly efficient with mileage.
Oh, look at you. Like, Edward, just ahead of the curve on stemming climate change. I love that. Now, unlike his character, Robert Pattinson seemed like he had a lot of regrets. Actually, Edward seems like he has a lot of regrets, too. So I feel like that's another testament to the fact that they are just thoroughly bad movies, is the amount that the people involved with them, in the years afterward have been like, yeah, I'm a little embarrassed. Anna Kendrick famously.
Why were they taking high school again? Like they were in high school as like 100-something.
This was my key question. Thank you, Kay. And I know I was asking this throughout the movie. It's like, if you, I mean, and he's like trapped in like, I guess what was supposed to be like an 18-year-old's body, right?
How long have you been 18 for?
Yeah. And so any 18-year-old can look like they're 19, or it can be like he could have easily just been a young man, you know, doing anything but high school for 100 years. So I have serious fundamental questions about Edward choosing the path. That to me seems the most unhinged of all the things that he does, is choosing to be in high school for 100 years.
Yes, and Robert Pattinson said that as well, in addition to many other things about the movie that didn't make sense. So he has made it clear that he is grateful for the fans and all that, just that it was a ridiculous movie. And
but he has taken every opportunity possible to dunk on it, which I kind of like, and I guess as he's tried to do more serious stuff, it's probably just something that you have to do. But yeah, I think on top of it is there's the stalker love aspect. We were all sharing this.
Stalker love, broody. He's not like
he's not emotionally mature.
Yeah, he's not emotionally mature. He's obsessive. Yeah, stalker, obsessive.
Obsessiveness.
Yeah, it's his smell. She smells so good. Like,
yeah, and we talk about, exactly. And like his sex appeal tie to her seems to be very linked to the fact that he wants to eat her, kill her, drink her blood.
Little like unhealthiness, toxic there.
Which we talk about this a lot in our adult smut, that I think that you reach a certain point in maturity where there are a bunch of dudes just reply guying on the internet who are like, oh, well, yeah, you ladies, like, all you want in a man is these, like, guys who treat you like shit and you ignore all these good guys. Like, no, we, most of us are mature enough that we are in, like, functional relationships with the good boys in our day-to-day life.
These are just, like, fantasy.
And we don't want to read books about good boys just, like, being nice and making snacks for movie night. So we read all of our smut with the shadow daddies, and there's, like, a very clear line between the two. I don't know that I love it as much for teenagers who are still forming their ideas of like what a relationship could look like. That,
it's like, you're not obsessively in love with me, therefore this is a shitty relationship.
I feel like me as a teen and other friends in our younger years had a little bit less ability to distinguish between, oh, this is something that's sexy to read, but under no circumstances would I actually want to be with this person in his emotional immaturity. And in our teen years, we're in a little muddled mess, and I don't love media that's building that up more.
You know, a piece of Edward is jealousy, and that he gets very jealous if Bella's with Jacob or with other people, and that's follows through other books. And there's a thing out there that's like, oh, we all want our husband to be like, that's my wife, and jealously protect us. But the reality is that most of us are with like great guys who are really secure, and they're like, oh, you talked to a long time for a guy today, whatever, I don't care because I know you and I know that.
And that like women have function, especially women who go out and have jobs. Who is that? There's a conservative politician who's famous for saying that he would like never be alone in a room with a woman that wasn't like in his family, and he thought of it as this like great respect to women, that he's like, oh, then my wife can like trust in me because I would never like put myself in a situation that could turn into
you want your wife to trust you to be in those.
Yeah, exactly. And then they were just like, well, then that just ends up being hugely sexist, because then you can't hire any women, because then she can't be ever in a one-on-one situation with you, as you often are with your coworkers, and so that just makes you into a huge sexist piece of shit. So yeah,
take that. Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of these things less hot as we get older. How about, and I'm asking this because I know of your deep love of the Draco and Hermione fanfic, hence my marry, fuck, kill, and I knew you would pick Draco if you were allowed to do fanfic Draco. I feel like that's an interesting one because I don't know that Harry Potter was sexual for any of us at the time.
Yeah, his relationship with Cho Chang was unsatisfying, and then Ginny was supposed to be kind of hot, but that was never like full scenes of.
Yeah, which I guess was fine because by the end of the books, they're like seniors in high school, right? So
yeah, it was age appropriate that they never got super romantic. But I think one of the reasons why Draco Hermione fanfic is popular is that now a lot of us who read it when we were younger are in our 30s reading other sorts of books like this, and we're like, yeah, we totally want to see what it would look like to be in a romantic adult relationship. And you know what? Ron is never going to make it on there.
Yeah.
We never have interest in Ron, but Hermione was clearly the most interesting character for most women. At least for me, it was like,
she deserved a satisfying relationship with a grown-ass man.
Yeah, that was not someone who never was able to get over his insecurities and everything. It was not Ron. I'm sorry, Ron. So I think one of the reasons why Draco Hermione, again, is so popular is that it's this world that so many of us spent so long in when we were younger.
Yeah.
And we knew really well as younger people without an idea of like what adult relationships would look like, that now envisioning it and kind of turning it on its head, like, would Harry Potter have actually won the war by only being good and never using dark magic and just, using a disarming spell? Like, maybe not. Maybe he would have had to take out the drones at some point.
I feel like if we had continued the series into Harry Potter's adult years and he became kind of a shadow daddy and had to turn a little bit to the dark side in order to learn how to defeat it, that might have been a little bit sexier than what we got. And so, yeah, I agree. It wasn't at all like... I'm sure it was for some people, but it wasn't all for me like a sexual thing at the time. I also don't think that it bothered me much. I was about the age of Harry Potter as the books were coming out. So I think I was about 18 when the last one came out. And I remember just being vaguely dissatisfied with the whole that they pair up at the end, and then you have the last chapter of the book or the epilogue that's the retrospective where they're all adults sending
they're
their
all
kids
married.
off.
It's like they don't all need to be married with a child.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't think that I was happy about the part, like, that seemed very natural to me in my 18-year-old sense that all the books have an ending where everybody is paired up with
I was always unhappy
somebody
for
from their friend group. Yeah, I think that but I was still disappointed on behalf of Hermione. I mean, I was disappointed on behalf of Hermione throughout the books, but it did seem vaguely satisfying to me at the end that, like, of course they all get married and have kids. And that's just like a natural ending, and that it's not like what happens in real life is that you have a high school romance and
then
it's
you go and
somewhat
you have a career
foundational
and
for you and you
grow.
learn some things, and then you go like date other people and mature.
Not
and
every single one of you is going to end up married.
Find
with children.
somebody not Ron Weasley. Like, Ron Weasley is total high school boyfriend material and not marriage material. So
yeah, he can yearn after you for life, Hermione, but you deserve better. It doesn't have to be Draco, but
yeah. So I'm glad that the universe, not J.K. Rowling, who has obviously been a huge disappointment as a human being in many ways. So I'm glad that this is where the larger fanfic universe has stepped in and giving us the ending that we truly needed. And I will need to read this for a future episode and add them to my growing body of romantasy reviews.
Yeah, and a kind of wonderful thing in a lot of different romantasy books are how parts of them are adapted from well-known Disney movies, which are obviously adapted from well-known fairy tales.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, A Court of Thorns and Roses was a Beauty and the Beast retelling of sorts, though, of course, then she decided, I'm not actually that interested in this beast called Tamlin. Yeah, she needs a night daddy.
Yeah.
Which is when Reese entered
I
the
mean,
picture.
also, again, Tamlin, like, kind of emotionally not very grown up for being however many hundreds of years old he is.
Well, he was relatively younger. He was only 80, I think.
Oh,
So-
well, that really showed in what, I mean, he was essentially a teenager in fairy years, and I think that really showed with what
Reese
a little
had 420 years on
ratty
him.
child he was, yes.
Yeah. Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas is obviously a Cinderella retelling that is like extremely 5,000 times more badass and very cool. So I love the retellings. Also, I love A Taste for Lies by Elsie Whitehouse, and she is an independent author and it's her debut novel. And she has right there on the first page, for those of us who were upset when the beast turned into a man at the end of the movie. Which I kind of love. Even though, I mean, at the time I did experience joy. Obviously, I wanted him to be a man. But she's like, well, why not half man, half beast? Why couldn't he retain some beastly qualities?
Yeah.
Go to you, Elsie Whitehouse.
And back to the Sarah J. Maas ones, I also recognize. So a lot of my favorite things, I liked fairy tales a lot. I like to read fairy tales from around the world, which then I do see pop up in a lot of the romantasy books. Naomi Novik is somebody who I think they're not as like smutty of romantasy, but she draws a lot
I'll
on
still
like
accept them.
yeah. I mean, they're very well written. And I think that specifically if you haven't read Uprooted, that is the one that it has like kind of the shadow daddy character, in that she like goes to this like wizard who is like way older than her, and to like
they always have to be way older.
fix stuff. Yeah. And so she has a couple good ones where I feel like she does have this like magical, the female main character, and then like goes and finds this like magical shadow daddy. But those are based in Eastern European folklore, which is kind of fun and different for something new. And then I liked always the Greek mythology stuff, which I feel like is a great mine for all sorts of things. And I noticed that in the second book of A Court of Thorn and Roses, it is drawing on the Persephone myth, where she's the daughter of the goddess of the harvest, and she is taken by Hades to the underworld. And then her mother, I guess they end up making a bargain on her behalf that she has to spend half of the year in the underworld with Hades as the queen of the underworld, and then she has to spend half of the year as up on land with her mother, and that's when her mom brings back spring, and Persephone is the goddess of spring. So I thought, again, that was an interesting twist on it, where it's actually in the underworld with the Hades type of guy.
It's a good place.
Is the good place, and that's where she's
place.
like truly happy and sexually satisfied. Was a pretty good turnaround on that one. But there's a lot of good myth ones, and I think I put the Neon Gods one on your radar. That one is just like pure smut. But obviously the Greek gods especially are ripe for, I was surprised that nobody did it before her, because Greek gods were very slutty.
I think that other people have done it besides her. We just have to look into it with the Greek gods and their smuttiness, because they were highly sexual in all the directions too. There was no barriers on whether it had to be strictly hetero relationships.
Or human to human relationships. You had human to God, God to cow.
They crossed all the
animals,
lines.
People, deities. Like they were just in there, just like one big.
Oh my
orgy.
gosh. There is this like milk farm book, and I wish I had the right title for you all. Literally, the cover of it is a woman with big boobs, and she's like resting on the chest of this giant like
Morning
man
Glory
cow
milking farm.
Morning Glory milking farm. And it is if you look up the cover, it is objectively disturbing. I'm sorry, I'm sorry,
right
romantasy readers. Like it just is a disturbing cover. It is what incels used as their point to like, women read these weird books. This is what today's women want. That's why they're not getting married.
Yes.
They're all here like into like half beast fantasies.
Incels, you are right.
Well, we are weird, but we're not that weird.
Every one of us is out there looking for a Minotaur, looking to
they are called Minotaurs.
With. Well, yeah, he looks like a Minotaur.
The best was reading the reviews for that book, because I was curious. I was like, how does it have this many reviews and a high rating? And every single person was like, I started this as a joke, and then all of a sudden, halfway through, I was like, well, I'm not stopping this book now. It's excellent. So there's something to how it's described that I think that whoever did the cover art just missed the mark, or maybe they didn't miss the mark. But I will say that is not what most women are referring to with.
Why are they milking? Are they like milking the bulls for their semen is my question based on this cover.
The reviews definitely mentioned milking of bull semen, so I wouldn't put it past.
Oh wait, so you haven't read the book?
No, I don't go that far, SJ. I read a lot of things, but that cover is not.
Based on the reviews, I think that you need to try.
I think that somebody said, like, how can I get my wife to read this book as a joke? And I literally said, based off the reviews, I think that you need to give it to her without a cover, because she'll probably like it. And then when she sees the cover at the end of what this man was actually supposed to look like, she'll probably be a little bit like, huh, Didn't
Yeah,
have
even
it going
the
that
title,
far.
though, Morning Glory Milking Farm, I'm picturing this being like a cozy mystery or something based on like being on a farm. I don't know. This is a weird title, too. But I just think that don't judge a book by its cover, Kay. I think that
It's quite the cover. It really
as
is.
our resident smuttiest of
hat.
smut lovers, I think that it's up to you to test this book out first, because I am far too naive and new to this genre to just be like jumping into the deep end like that.
I've definitely read like alien books before where I didn't have the cover and the sex scenes are like extremely sexy, and then later on when I've seen the cover I was like, oh my gosh, like that is not like, that's obviously what the other author envisioned. And so it's right, and the sex scene was hot, but like I did not realize that they were going to have like a full, very, very different than human form. They just seemed to have extra appendages on their penis that made sex nicer, so I was all about that. But yeah, didn't realize how far it went. So
sounds good.
If you want me to read it, just change up the.
Okay, I'll make a new cover. I'll use AI to make a new cover for you, and then I will
more man-looking, half bull, half man, Minotaur.
Yes, I'm actually going to try that after this episode and see how it goes, and then we'll share if it goes well on our next episode. So on the Greek mythology one, then, speaking of the fairy tales being the basis for Disney, we also had Hercules and our Greek mythology or other mythology as your basis. So who was your Disney daddy? Was it Hercules?
Ooh.
I would say no. Honestly, for how much that had the potential to be sexy, he kind of sucked.
My
from
Disney daddy.
Yeah.
Ooh. Huh.
I'm going to go a little, I know this is a popular answer actually, and say Robin Hood as a fox. Super hot.
I was probably Simba.
Ooh, look at us both choosing animals. Come on, good girls.
I think that Simba probably had the most formed character arc, and of Disney movies that had fully fleshed out guy where we followed his growth, Simba's like who we know the most about.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I wish that he would then turn into a man version. I'm not into lines themselves.
Okay. Well, yeah, just based on looks, fuckability, looks alone.
Yeah. I mean, a fox. I'm sure the fox turned into a man would be
Well, he was an anthropomorphic fox, so it kind of worked. Like, he could obviously be with a human if he wanted to, although there were no humans in that movie. He stood up and wore clothes, so I think it was fine. If I had to choose a human, I think I would say Prince Eric. I would say Aladdin, but the fact that he had no nipples is weird for me.
Yeah, the little hat.
The little hat. And his vest didn't fit him.
Yeah, there was like...
I have questions about Aladdin and just his decisions that he makes when he has unlimited power and he's like, yeah. Anyway. Yeah, just so no to Aladdin, but who's your human pick from Disney?
I guess I'll go with Eric too, but I just want to put out there that we were left with some weak options.
Yeah, I mean, some of them didn't even have names. The early Disney princesses were really just cardboard cutouts of generic white men, so.
Yeah, the Sleeping Beauty prince, I can't think of what his name is. Philip can sing. That. Philip, I know.
Oh, yeah. That's about all he has going for him other than like...
they're all.
What do you call it when you? Well, I guess she's sleeping. It's really Snow White where she appears to be dead. And what's that called? Where you like dead people?
Probably necro something.
Yeah, necrophilia.
Yeah.
So that guy doesn't have a name, and he's a necrophiliac, so he's definitely out.
Yeah.
Okay, so if it wasn't the Disney princesses, because I agree, they didn't give us a lot to work with there. Who is your, and this can be a surprising answer, because I feel like for most of us, it wasn't just like the generic usual things of Edward Cullen or whatever we're supposed to have had our sexual formation in. Who is your original shadow daddies that kind of like set you on the path to good girlhood?
So I think it might be off to describe him as a shadow daddy. There's no shadow powers, and he's not from romantasy. But Rhett Butler in Gone with the Wind, he had all the like morally and gray, does things that are frowned upon by society, but he's technically always doing the right thing in many ways.
Yeah.
He always is protecting Scarlet, but doing it in the ways that actually make the most sense and put his honor to the side. And he loved his little daughter before she died.
And he was a hot older man, I just want to say. because he was clearly a few years older than her, at least.
Yes, he had it going on. He knew what he was doing in bed. They didn't really have bedroom scenes, but you could tell.
You could tell that she was a satisfied lady. All right.
Yeah, there's a reason why they chose Clark Gable to play him in the movie. So, I realize that the book has been pointed out as since being, very problematic in many areas. That the actual character of Rhett Butler himself was wonderful, and
we can still
Scarlett
enjoy
did not
looking
deserve him.
at Clark Gable. Yeah, Scarlett is kind of a brat. But
I hope that he went on. People have fanfic of Scarlett and Rhett ending up together. No, I hope that Rhett found some other really, really cool, awesome, non-selfish person and is living a great life.
I hope that for him too. Mine, based on our previous discussions, will be obvious to you. Actually, I'm curious if you can guess.
I don't think I'm going to be able to.
Oh, you will be not surprised when I tell you that it's Star Wars and Han Solo.
Oh, okay. I was not thinking of the movie world.
Oh, yeah.
So that makes sense. Yeah. Well, Han Solo, Harrison Ford.
Yeah, a big fan of Harrison Ford as a young person, which I can't square up against the fact that mostly I was into the types of teen heartthrob looking guys that would be more what you would expect, but did love Harrison Ford, loved the character of Han Solo. I feel like he kind of gets fucked over in the newest trilogy where his son turns out to,
Kylo Ren.
Yeah, but it's you didn't have to kill your dad. So I'm a solid no on Kylo Ren after he kills his dad. Spoiler alert. If you haven't seen that one yet, it's been out for a few years.
So it's your fault at this point. You
just
should have
big
known
lover of Han Solo. Yeah. And in the early days of internet fanfic, there was some great Star Wars. Because I was a huge Star Wars nerd.
The Star Wars fanfic is a really good world.
Yeah, there was some dirty, the Millennium Falcon broke down in space and they can't go into hyperspace. So what are they to do but just have a lot of really crazy sex till they can get the hyperdrive fixed?
Yeah, and so Allie Hazelwood, who is an extremely popular romance author, and all of her original work was Star Wars fanfic.
Really?
For Kylo Ren. Yeah. And so in her first ever book that was based off of Adam Driver's character, the main character's name is Adam, and he only wears black, even his toothbrush is black. Which I was reading it for the first time, not knowing that, and I was okay, author likes men who like black.
Does Allie Hazelwood character, did he kill his dad as part of his character arc?
Nah,
his
Dad's
dad,
just
who I
not
had a
really
childhood
part of
sex
it.
crush on. Okay, then this is a great way for me to appreciate thinking about Kylo Ren in a sexy way, in which he hasn't destroyed my favorite sexy character from the days of yore.
He is very, very sexy in The Love Hypothesis, and there is no question about that.
The Love Hypothesis.
Again,
okay.
Fanfic is awesome. I really do think that fanfic is underappreciated. It's where a lot of great writers who have committed to full-time jobs or different career trajectories, but like to write. I feel like fanfic is an easy entrance into it because they're not completely creating the world and they feel like it's more of a hobby, and then all of a sudden you realize wow, this person is awesome at describing.
Then you can kind of develop those muscles a little bit in kind of a training way. So I do like that, and we'll have to get into some fanfic favorites on future episodes. And I was also thinking of another one that I feel was popular when we were younger, was about when the movies came out for Lord of the Rings, which, being a nerd, I had also read the books. I do feel this is an example of where when they made the movie version, they actually made everything way hotter, because I don't feel I was attracted to any of the characters reading the book. They were good books, but
the guy just was not writing it for
serious, epic fans. I know, but you could still get excited about it, even if Tolkien didn't want you to. But then when they made the movie version, and I think this is kind of when I've seen people mention that this is when you've matured as you go from childhood love of Legolas being the boy band looking Orlando Bloom to Aragorn, and
the long blonde, very straight hair was never going to do it for me.
This is why you knew from the start that Tamlin was not the one for Tara.
Long blonde always
playing his violin.
Yeah.
I feel I did have that character arc where now I look back and I'm just he's
my sister had posters of him in her bedroom.
I think it is just that thing that's attractive when you're younger, is men who look more boyish. I almost feel that would be a little bit weird if you were into crusty bearded men. When you're 15, you might have some problematic things that you need to talk about. But I also feel yeah, it's maybe then you just develop a little bit as you get older. I mean, still, like, he's very attractive in that movie, but doesn't do it for me in quite the same way. I don't know if that character arc continues and that, like, at a certain point in life, it's actually Gimli is the one that you find sexiest when you hit a certain age of just, like,
yeah,
you know,
then
really
pretty soon
learning
it's
how to
gonna be
enjoy
Gandalf.
a real man. Yes. Let's read the Gandalf fanfic, which I assume is man to man on man because
of
Ian
course.
McKellen.
Yeah.
And I just feel like Gandalf would have absolutely been at it with the other wizards.
Man and woman. So, ending with the gateway smut for the new generation. Is K-pop Demon Hunters what's going to get today's generation realizing that fantasy is where it's at?
I feel like this
older
came
guys
up with other moms the other day. Yeah, that you're like, at first you're like, oh, this is like a silly movie. I mean, it's of all the like stuff that your kids are watching.
I
like,
love it.
My 7-year-old was just, along with 2 of her friends, the Huntrix band for Halloween. And it's just like every like 6 to 10-year-old girl seems to be very obsessed with it. And it's fine as far as kids' movies go. The music is very catchy. I'm getting a little sick of it. But somebody did point out that...
keep it coming. I love it.
Yeah, somebody did point out that actually Genu, the main character in the Saja Boys, who's like also like, you know, has his complex demon history and has the little romance storyline with Rumi, he's actually like perfect entry-level material for Shadow Daddy because...
Gets you used to the guy being 1,000 years older.
Yeah.
Morally gray.
Just like, yeah, morally gray. Like where he kind of pulls Rumi in is in this kind of context where it's like that he can see her for who she truly is and like doesn't have a problem with the fact that she is part demon. And so that's like somebody that she can truly be herself with and be morally complex instead of having to just be this like good character. So the fact that they also kind of meet in that morally gray area.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see when they come
them.
out with the K-pop Demon Hunters 2, which they've said they are now working on, if Genu gets to like come back, because I feel like he kind of...
Hopefully, yeah. I think you can just let him sacrifice and then be gone. But
yeah.
that or...
We'll have to stay tuned and find out.
Guy. Well,
anyway, setting our daughters and maybe our sons up for, you know, just a bright future of reading lots of smut and, you know, having these imaginary relationships with these guys that are... you know, just fun time in your head.
Yeah, old.
And 9,000 years old.
And right before we wrap up, SJ is going to give us a halfway through A Court of Silver Flames review. She is not all the way finished because she has been dragging through it.
I have been dragging because I feel like I'm almost halfway now. And I was promised that the main reason to read this book is just because it's like the filthiest of all of Sarah J. Maas's work. I know, but I feel like it's longer than all the other books, or at least it feels like it, because I fucking hate Nesta. And I'm waiting for her to have these like redeeming qualities, although I'm going to be suspicious of them no matter what, because she's just such a tool. And she's like, oh, bad stuff happened to me, so now I'm just gonna like sit here. And I'm like, I feel like depression is real, but it's not well written in a way that you're like, oh my gosh, like I want, especially because it is this like fantasy world. And so I feel like then, yeah, I don't know, you have to like be a little bit realistic about it in the context.
So there hasn't even been like
seems like a shitty person. Oh, well, there's the one where she, like, jerks him off in his pants against the wall. I don't think she gave him head. I thought she jerked him off.
Okay, so no head yet.
Oh, okay. Yeah. There's, like, they were, like, slammed up against the wall in the,
I think it's also...
hallway, and they make out, and then she, like, gets kind of excited, but then she just, like, can't get his pants off, so she just kind of, like, does a hand job over the pants. Which I was like, I mean, for the fact that it was a hand job over the pants, I thought that it was still, like, well-written.
I think it's Sarah J. Maas's first time writing even slightly explicit sex scenes. Like, I feel like even though Feyre and Rhys had sex, it was always just more, like, romantic, and this is the only time that it gets
missionary,
slightly...
vanilla kind of stuff, even though he had wings, so every once in a while it's like she kind of, like, gives him little shivers by touching his wings, and that's really about as like smutty magical that it gets. So still waiting for more. I'm also just very distracted by all the like Rocky Balboa training scenes. Again, that you're in this like magical world, and then that they just have like a lot of stuff that just basically sounds like going to the personal trainer in like America year 2025, and he's like, oh, you got to make sure to stretch.
She's doing squats to begin with.
And it's just like the stuff that he says to her, I'm like, it just feels very
core workouts.
Yeah, talking about working out her core, which I do appreciate that Sarah J. Maas does finally bring up the joke about like the fact that they always call the woman's vagina her core, but I'm like, Nesta's real dumb, but she doesn't know that that's also your abdominal muscles. But I don't know, it just sounds very like 2025 this world, the way that he talks to her and does the training sequences.
So
and
you're not about it.
Seems out of place, and just that he uses kind of like modern physical trainer, like he'll be like, oh, we have to like make sure that you eat a lot of protein afterwards and stretch so the lactic acid doesn't build up in your muscles. And I'm like, how does Cassian know about lactic acid? Like, and also like, y'all have magic, like can he not just like banish the lactic acid with his magic? I don't understand. This one suddenly seems like their magic is very limited when they hit the mat, that suddenly then that's just like, oh, well, you just have to like do a bunch of reps and, you know, increase your anaerobic threshold or some shit that I'm like, I would just, if I wanted to do that, I would watch a Jane Fonda workout tape.
So you're not about it, but I think that you might eventually come around to at least giving it a 3.5 or
I will let you know after I have trudged my way through to the actual smut parts.
Woohoo. Well, we are thankful that you are giving it a chance. Well, thank you for listening, everyone. I hope everybody appreciates that this is a little bit more of a romantasy pop culture one than our usual, and our next one might be a little bit more explicit. So heads up to everybody. Thanks for listening, and as always, best way to support us is with a like or a follow. We appreciate it. Also, our slowly growing YouTube channel is super appreciated for our new subscribers. Have a good day, everybody.